Hey friends, welcome back to Stappystamper. My name is Terry Stapp and I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator located in Central Texas. Let's make card number 5 from our Florals in Bloom suite. Now I've got to be honest, I love the card, but I was having a really hard time. I fall in love typically with a piece or two of the designer series paper. I don't love them all. So I made the cards 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you haven't watched those, go back and watch those videos. And I used this paper, loved it. This paper, loved it. This paper, loved it. Not a huge fan of this, but I did use the B side. So now for 5 and 6, I'm down to this paper and this paper. And they're not my favorite. But I think I've made some really cute cards that you're really going to like using these two pieces of paper. Now, I'm on pages 42 and 43 in the annual catalog. Once again, Florals in Bloom Suite. It has Pretty Florals stamps and dies. It has Sweet Blooms stamps and dies. It has the flat pearls, and it has the designer series paper. So let's get started with card number 5. It looks like this. Another fun fold card. And once I put it together, I really ended up liking the card, even the paper on it. Okay, what you're going to need for this card is, I used garden green for my base card. So you're going to need a piece of garden green that is 7 by 5.5 and is scored at 4 1/4. And it makes the little flap like that. I'm going to go ahead and use my bone folder to get that nice and scored. Then you're going to need a piece of designer series paper that is 5 1/4 by 2.5. You're going to need a piece of designer series paper that is, let's see, 3 1/4 by 3.5. Goes like that. You're going to need another piece of designer series paper. This is 3 3/8 by 3 5/8, and we're going to use the B side for that. Another piece of designer series paper that is 5 3/8 by 2 5/8, once again using the B side for that. I have a piece of Secret C, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And on that, I'm going to put a piece of basic white, 5 1/4 by 4. I have my matte, 5 3/8 by 2 5/8. That's going to get paired with this piece of designer series paper. Another matte that is 3 3/8 by 3 5/8, and that gets paired with that piece. I have my little strip that I like to put at the bottoms of my cards, and I do make it longer so that I can cut the ends and have a nice trim on both ends so it's flush to the end. I have my greeting, my sentiment. I used my squares for this, and then I did Secret C, the basic white. I stamped one of the flowers, and then I used the stamps and then the die cuts. Popped this one up on some dimensionals. Hello. And I did use some of the flat pearls to give that a little bit of bling. And then on the back, I have my dimensionals as well. Last piece we're going to need is back to our base card, that base card color, garden green. 4 by 3 3/4, scored at 3.5. And I'm going to give that another little burnish with my bone folder. Just like that to get a nice crease on that. So those are going to get put together. And there are my pieces. Okay, let's start putting these things together. I think I'm going to start with my base card. And let's get the flap built. So I have my 2 pieces of garden green. This piece I've scored, and it is going to get glued once I open up my base card. Okay, open up this little flap. I'm going to glue it right here. I'm going to center it between the top and the bottom, and I'm just going to glue it so when I open it up, it'll be right there, but that's fine. It'll get covered up, but that's going to create one of our little flaps. In order to do that, I'm going to use my liquid glue, and I'm just going to put it right here on this little flap. And then I'm going to use my eyeballs and center it. So it's going to be right up to the edge and centered between the top and the bottom. Just like that, easy peasy. Okay, doing the inside of my card, I'm going to get the piece where I want to write my greeting and then the little strip at the bottom. So I'm going to do this part first so that I can get it trimmed. I'm going to break out my other liquid glue. And I'm going to line it up with my grid here. And I'm going to put some liquid glue there. And then I'm going to bring in my strip and line my strip up. I want to be sure to include, I like that kind of petunia pop, I think is what that color is. And I'm going to line that up with my grid to get that nice and straight. Put my pin back in my adhesive and get my snips out so I can trim the edges and have it match up just right with my card with no weird pieces hanging out. Okay, so let's put these two together. Make sure, trying to get them lined up so I have an even border around. And then this is going to get put down right here. And we will cover that flap up and nobody will know. They won't know. Just like that. Okay. So I do like to mat my pieces. However, this has a mat. The front of this is going to have a mat. This is going to have a mat. I don't want to add more mats because then my card won't close. It just adds more weight when you try to mail it. So I'm going to take these two pieces that I used the B side of without a mat. I'm going to put one down right here and then the other one right here. Now I'm going to tell you, watch your directionality, because on a card, not this one, but when I was cutting the paper and I cut one with my ovals or whatever running vertically, and then I wasn't watching what I was doing, and I do have a card where the ovals run horizontally. So if that makes a big difference to you and you want everything going in the same direction, then be sure that you pay attention to which way your paper runs. Some paper, it doesn't make a difference. Some paper, it makes a big difference. Some people might not care. Some people might not even notice. But if it's important to you, just pay attention to how your paper is going. Okay, inside of the card is done. Now we're ready for the outside. So I have a flap here and a flap here, and I need to put my designer series paper on my Secret C mat. And then I need to put my Secret C piece on the flap. I do want it like that, but I'm going to turn my card so I'm right-handed and it's easier for me to line everything up upside down sometimes. So I just turn it to make it work for me. Okay, there's one flap, and then I'm going to do this flap right here. This is my mat. Once again, it is 3 3/8 by 3 5/8. My designer series paper, 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. I'm going to put those two together. And then put this on the flap. I'm going to turn it upside down. Am I? No, I'm going to keep it right side up. And then I'm going to put it right here. All right, card is almost done. The only thing I need is my squares here, and I'm just going to peel off the backing and center this on that front flap. Maybe, yep. Okay, did I get them all? Yes, okay. Centering it right here. That looks pretty good. And there is our finished card. I'm going to bring it in a little bit closer. Okay. Hello. We have our flap that opens, another flap that opens, and plenty of room for you to write your sentiment on the inside. All right. This is Florals in Bloom, card number 5. If you haven't watched 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, be sure to go back and watch those cards because they are lovely as well. And then stay tuned for one more with Florals in Bloom, card number 6. I think you're going to like it. Until then, happy stamping.